Welcome to The Soul Space, the podcast that inspires you to discover your truth, ignite your passion, and align your life with the power of who you really are. I'm Georgia Rose, psychic astrologer. I share the cosmic roadmap that guided me through astrology, tarot, and inner knowing into authentic living. I'm here to help you decode your soul's cosmic story, reconnect with your passion, and create the life you are meant to live. It all starts within, and it all starts now in the soul space. Hey everybody, how are you doing tonight? It's Georgia Rose. I am your psychic astrologer, and welcome to the Soul Space podcast with Georgia Rose, me. Yes, me. So tonight we're going to have fun. Tonight we are going to do some cards. You know, you love the cards. You're all a bunch of card whores, but that's okay. I am too. And then we're going to do some astrology because we have a week where things are rattling and rolling. Oh my gosh, it's such an exciting week. I just can't even tell you. And you know, you can interpret that word exciting any way you'd like. If you think it's a good exciting or a bad exciting, I think it's just exciting. You know, nothing can be too wrong, right? If it's live. So a lot of you are commenting when you see me or when you talk to me during the week on social media or whatever, commenting, you know, I'm sorry I missed the show or things like that. But what I want to tell you is you're never going to miss a show because my show is always banked on, I say banked, but it's always, the replays are available on Zencuda on YouTube. They're also on every podcast platform that you can imagine. My beautiful friend and producer, Bobby Lacera, puts us out there on everything. We're on Spotify. You can even ask Amazon Alexa to play the latest podcast, Soul Space with Georgia Rose. So there's never a reason for you to miss me. You can listen to me in the car. You can listen to me anywhere. You can watch, whatever you really like to do. So with that, you know, for those of you who this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. You're going to have a great time for the next 45 minutes. But you don't know something that some of our other viewers know, and that is that I start every show with something called a cosmic comedy because we take ourselves way too seriously. And tonight's cosmic comedy is all about Taurus because happy birthday, Tauruses. This is your month. The sun just went into Taurus today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, here is our cosmic comedy. It's time for Cosmic Comedy, where Mercury retrograde is the main character, the lunations are loony, and the stars are a punchline.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, is funnier than a pissed off Taurus. Mostly because these people are not going to be exploding on anybody. They're not going to be crashing out. Tauruses don't react. They marinate like a 6-hour slow roast that you kind of forget about, and then the next thing you know, your house is burned down. An Aries gets mad, and everybody knows. A Gemini gets mad, and they forget why they were mad in the first place. A Sagittarius gets mad, and they book a flight. But a Taurus will sit there and go quiet on your ass. The classic sign that you have pissed off a Taurus is that they're going to start moving differently. You would be like, I'm really hungry, and they'd be like, the food is in the fridge. You'd be like, I want a hug, and they'd be like, God's got you. You'd be like, oh, I need a ride, and they'd be like, oh, Uber exists. Once a Taurus decides that they're mad, bitch, game over. Game fucking over. These motherfuckers are stubborn. Like, you can bring flowers, you can cash app, you can do the most, and they'd be like, And if you happen to get a really evolved Taurus mad, they'll be like, I hear you, I see you, I forgive you, but don't touch me. It's because you fucked up. You should have never gotten them like that in the first place. And then you will really know that a Taurus is done with you when they stop talking. Because when a Taurus ain't arguing, a Taurus is fucking mentally checked the fuck out.
And all of that is true. She couldn't have said it better myself. Mentally, Tauruses will check out. I always say it like this. Taurus is the bull, right? It's the sign of the bull. And if a Taurus doesn't want to go to dinner, nobody in the house is going to dinner. But if a Taurus wants to go to dinner, everybody in the house better get up because you're going to dinner. They're the bull. You ever try to move a bull, you're not going to do it. So the sun is in Taurus. That's going to give us some stability and some, earthly grounding because Taurus is an earth sign this month. So it'll be really great to have some of that because we still have quite a lot of planets in Aries, which is all fast moving fire. And with the sun in Taurus, we get a little bit of stability. So when you think of the bull, don't think so much about how they can be stubborn. Think about how the bull is tenacious, and you can't move a bull, right? They're very steady on their feet, kind of like an elephant almost, right? So think about that energy and the stability of the earth, that earth sign. And one of the things I love to do is, even when I go to the beach or any place when I'm not in my home, I do it at home too, but I love to just lay flat on the floor or even my back patio or the grass. I was telling my friend the other day, we have a lighthouse by where we live, and the whole foundation and ground around the lighthouse is all granite out at Robert Moses on Fire Island. And I used to go there and jog in the mornings, and as the sun came up over the lighthouse, I would lay on the granite and just ground myself and kind of fantasize about, almost like being like an animal or a seal or something, sunning myself. It was just so beautiful. So think about how you feel when you lay with your back on a hard surface and how fully supported you are. We talk about that a lot in yoga. We're in the last part of yoga in Shavasana, which is corpse pose, and how the earth is sustaining you. The earth is holding you up. We have gravity and we all walk around on this beautiful earth planet. But think about just allowing something to have your back and lay flat on a surface, the ground, the grass, even your living room floor, and just feel the sensation of support. That's Taurus. That's Taurus energy. Inner stability is what the mastery of Taurus is. So I'm going to pull some cards for tonight's reading. Not individual cards tonight. We'll do that probably next week. But for today, I just want to pull some cards for the reading in general. And this will be for the last, half of April or so, the next 10 days of April. Want to see what the universe is talking to us about tonight, right? Okay, let's see. I'm going to pull some cards. Just going to cut this deck once. Oh, they're telling me 3 times. My guides had something else in mind than I did. These are the cards. Okay. And let's see what we got here. First card, pulled 2 cards out, so we're going to use them. First card I picked here is the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands is a card of action. And boy, we really do have that this month. With all these planets in Aries, and now slowly some of them coming out of Aries. Venus is in Taurus, and now the Sun is in Taurus. But this card is representative. You see the wands, the sticks, or what we call those wands in tarot, and they have leaves on the ends of them. Those leaves are symbolic of new life, new emerging energy, which is what Aries is all about. And that's where we still have Mars, Neptune, Saturn, Chiron are all still in Aries. So this is a symbolization to me of us moving. Time is moving very quickly now. Uranus will be going into another air sign, Gemini, by the end of the week. We'll talk a little bit in depth about that in a minute. But this really means movement, and we all are going to have a lot of movement in our life this week. And I will talk to you a little bit more about that too in tonight's show. Next card that I got is the 5 of Cups. The 5 of Cups is a grieving energy. The 5 of Cups is grief. And when we see the 5 of Cups, just move this card a little bit over here. When we see the 5 of Cups in a tarot spread, it really is about grieving something from the past. You see this person is looking down. He's wearing the dark cloak. All of the cups are on the ground. The cups symbolize abundance in the tarot. And so the reason why I'm explaining the cards is in case you guys out there want to learn tarot, this is a good way to learn it, is just play with the cards, watch the symbolism. So when you look at this gentleman in dark, he's looking down. If you look at the card, all of these cups are on the ground. It's a card of opportunity that is no longer, but there's 2 cups still right side up, symbolizing that the abundance and opportunity is still there if he would come out of the grief and look around him. The sky is filled with beautiful golden light. There's lush green mountains or fields in front of him, but he's looking down in his grief. So this is a card that means take action in your life. Don't squander time. As I said, time is very speeded up right now. And instead of going within in your grief, and grieving is a process, I understand, but there comes a time we really have to look up and look out and see the future. If we spent our whole lives grieving, we may as well be dead too, right? The greatest way that we can honor our loved ones is to live life. And then the final card that I got is the Hierophant. The Hierophant in tarot is someone who is a very staunch leader, but the Hierophant is also someone who can be rigid in their belief systems. And it's the number 5 in the tarot. And what this is also very symbolic of is changing our belief systems. Typically, someone who is rigid now is going to go into a more open or more evolved way of thinking in an energy like this. And that's what the Hierophant card really represents for me in the tarot. His robe is red, it's challenge, it's fire, and that 5 is the number in numerology of change. So when I look at these 3 cards, the Wands card, the Seven of Wands, the Five of Cups, and the final card being the Hierophant. It's basically a reading of evolution. It's a reading of we've got some grieving to do of the past, but it's time to come out of that Pisces energy that's ending, that's closing cycles. We need to start looking up, looking out, and taking the action. There's a lot of things that need our attention right now, not out in the world, but within ourselves. And that's what that beautiful Seven of Wands is symbolizing. The Hierophant is the card of the transformation and the card that is going to bring us into a whole new perception of thinking. So let me get to the astrology. Astrology right now, Joanne says, sounds like her life. Yep, lots of action for all of us. So right now what we've got is, we can switch the cameras, Bobby. So right now what we have is a week that a lot of things change. Now, the last show, you can always replay it, about the end of the Pisces energy, was a really potent show. We were really closing a lot of energy cycles, and we're still doing that because the planets are moving into different signs from places they've been for many years. But today, we are coming off Sunday's Mercury-Mars conjunction. And we also have Saturn in there. I mean, everything is like at 7 degrees of Aries, Mars, Mercury, Saturn. And what this is meaning in our lives right now is we feel restless. We want movement. We want things to really move forward, but they're not moving forward as much as we want because we still have a very much unknown future. But when Mercury is next to the Mars energy, which is our gas, it's our aggression, it's the god of war is Mars. You want to use that energy for good, right? Construction, not destruction. But when you have Mercury there, which is our planet of communication, what can happen over the next week or so is we may say some really stupid shit. I mean, you may hear that out in the media, that you're going to hear some people say some really stupid shit. Sorry to use that word, but there's no other way to describe it. When Mars, Mercury, and Saturn get together all in tight little bundle in Aries, that war of words can come out. So it could even be that some of us are Monday morning quarterbacking because maybe we said some stupid shit yesterday that now we have to make up for. And so you don't want to do that. So be careful. This restlessness can turn into frustration and you may find yourself lashing out, especially those of you who have, Mercury in the third house, or you've got Gemini or one of the Mercury ruled signs that is very potent in your chart. You're going to definitely, going to be hard for you to keep your mouth shut. Just telling you. So don't get into that war of words today. That's Monday. You may regret some stuff you said over the weekend. Hopefully not, right? But that's Mars and Saturn is also in that tight conjunction. And when I say conjunction, I mean like those three planets are all in the exact same place in the sky. If we could look up and see them, they'd be like a big blob of Mars, Mercury, and Saturn all in the 7th degree of Aries. So what happens with Mars and Saturn, it's a very different energy than Mars and Mercury. Mars and Mercury makes us kind of like want to fight with words and communication. You may send the nasty text or something like that and then think about it and be like, oh my God, what did I do? But Saturn is the brakes. And that's why I wrote the caption for this show is It Gets Real. Saturn is the reality check. So, it's almost like you're driving along in the car and then you get the tire blowout, or you're driving along in the car and you realize all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, wait, I took a wrong turn. I don't know where I am. I'm hitting a wall. That's Saturn. It's we hit the wall with this energy now. And so something that we were very optimistic about or dreaming about could really be getting tweaked. And in an energy where you have Mercury, Mars, and Saturn all together, the next few days, next week or so, the brakes are going to feel like we got jerked forward, like someone just slammed the brakes on or we just hit the wall. So what you want to do in that energy to avoid whiplash is make sure that you're in flow and you're staying grounded, because Saturn isn't so much of a reality check if we've been in reality all along. It's when we overdo, we overstretch, we think the idea is the best idea that ever came to us in our whole entire life. It really isn't. It's a good idea, but it's not that idea. And we overpower, we hit the gas pedal too much. That's when we get the whiplash. So whether it's communication or whatever house Aries energy is in for you, for me, it's my 4th house, which is home and family and things like that, and my inner home. So whatever house it's in, be careful of your communication and be careful that you're really staying in reality. And that also ties in with something that's going to happen on Thursday when Uranus goes into Gemini. But let's talk about Tuesday and Wednesday first. So today and the next week or so, really be careful of your words and deeds. Do not be impulsive. Stay in reality. If something seems too good, it probably is. Just really keep yourself grounded. And I'm not saying that something really great isn't really great. I'm just saying just don't take it too far. We don't have to eat the whole Thanksgiving turkey on Thanksgiving, right? Um, so use this energy to create plans for the future because there's so much aggressive, assertive, so much gas in our cars right now that figuratively, obviously, with gas being $4 and something a gallon, but we want to make sure that we're using this energy to create plans for the future because it's so so momentous. It's a lot of momentum. So stay grounded, get out of the fantasy, and reconsider. This is the question of the week, guys. Reconsider what your truth is before moving forward, because this is an energy where we can get really caught up in a truth that's not reality, and you want to get caught up in your own truth, and then whatever you create will be absolutely fantastic. So let me say hello to some buddies. We have a lot of buddies on tonight, which makes me happy. I love it when you guys are on commenting. It makes the show so exciting for me. So Sarah, good evening. I'm glad Sarah's here. I love her. She actually sent me a very funny video over the weekend, which was nice. Cheryl, thank you for tuning in. Sherry Mirando, haven't seen you in a while. I think everything's going really well with you, Sherry. And then I have Joanna Garfey, who we're going to have on the show. I just have to make a date with her. She just wrote a beautiful children's books. Not really children, like more for like teenage, really cool about like ghost hunting, which she used to be. So that'll be a really nice show. And I have Trisha on. Trisha is one of my best buddies. Hello. And that's all I've got in the comments, but there are a lot of other people on. So thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. So I have a request. I never ask for much, right? I usually give. I'm not always a receiver, but you could do this for me. If something on tonight's show really resonates or makes sense to you and you think someone else should hear it, share the show. Or just, tell somebody, hey, I heard it on Soul Space with Georgia Rose, because I'm really trying to grow our community. That will help me do more work if you guys support my work. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to send you guys up some hearts just because I know that you're going to support my work. Okay. So on Tuesday, the moon goes into Cancer. And this is a really nice energy, although it can give us a case of the feels, not like we haven't had the feels all along in this energy for a while. But the moon in Cancer really starts to bring us into emotions that surface that are nice and cozy. It's almost like think rainy day by the fire, right? I'm in a big cozy cozy turtleneck, as you call it, jumper over in the UK today, because although we had a taste of summer last week, this week is very chilly. So we're back to winter. And I kind of was enjoying the weather today, even though it was chilly, because I said, oh, this is nice. We get just one more little time to be cozy. So the moon in Cancer is like that. It makes you want to be safe. It makes you want to protect the homeland. Now, out on the global scale, you can only imagine what that's going to make happen, but I'm not getting into that. But this is an energy of protecting the homeland, protecting your family. You want to be protective of yourself. So the only issue with this beautiful moon in Cancer on Tuesday and Wednesday is that it's going to square all the planets in Aries, which means it's a conversation of tension. So we want to progress, but we're restless, right? And Aries energy can make us impulsive, but the Cancer energy wants us to play it safe. So that's where the gas brake kind of comes in. It's like the Cancer moon is like, stay home, have some soup, watch your favorite show with a blankie on the couch, go get a massage. And the Aries energy is like, no, I want to fight with this person who told me off today. So we have to make decisions. And it gets back to what is our personal truth. That ambivalence is going to move us forward if we can sit with it and think about it and really go in it and under it instead of going around it. Cancer is the crab. It goes in the shell. It wears the shell. It's home. It's safety on its back. Don't go in the shell. This is an energy where you really want to dive into the ambivalence that you're feeling about what is my safety? What do I need to be safe? And where do I need to set a boundary and be more forceful? Really think about that energy because it can really make us move forward and give us the forward momentum we need to change a lot of the things that need changing. Wednesday, the moon is still in Cancer, but now it's next to Jupiter, which is very benevolent. Jupiter and the moon are both in Cancer. It's amplifying our emotions, but it's also amplifying that indecision that we're getting, that ambivalence from the Aries fire and the Cancer water. Doesn't really mix very well. So this is bringing out our inner child. Like we really need that like a hole in the head, right, guys? But it's bringing out past wounds, but with Chiron still in the final degrees of Aries, which is the planet about our wounds, it's in fire and it's in a sign that wants us to take action and be, in movement. So this bringing out of the inner child is an amazing space now on Wednesday and, that energy the last couple of days to heal things that are long-term wounds that maybe before now we really didn't want to look at. We now have the courage and the valor to be able to look at these things with Chiron, the planet of our wounds, and healing in a sign like Aries, which is all about moving forward, emerging into new energy. So this is a really, you can see, very deep week. It's an up and down week, but it's also a week to do deep work. And it's work that we have to do, even if we really don't want to do it, because in order to go into our future, which this time is all about, collectively for everyone on the planet, we're creating all new futures. So in order to release the past, let go, and have a clear space and clarity, we got to do this inner deep work. It's just something that has to happen. And the Aries energy is going to give us the confidence to do that and the confidence to step into that unknown with bravery that we really didn't have prior to this. It was a victim mentality for a lot of us. It was like, I don't want to be bothered. I'm just going to, go into distraction or do something different. But now we're in such a changing, pivotal period of humanity, believe it or not, for everyone on the planet, that the future is calling us. And, the moon's going to go into Leo late Wednesday into Thursday. And that's fire now. Now we're in fire. We have the sun, Leo sun, which is traditionally in the natural zodiac. The sun is in Taurus now, but that Leo is the sign of the sun, the lion, right? So now when the moon goes there, it's going to be a great energy because now we're going to be empowered. As long as we've done that little bit of work on Tuesday, Wednesday, when the moon was in Cancer, to dive deep into what needs to be cleared. Then later on in the week, by the time Thursday comes, we're empowered. We've walked through the shit. We have the rainstorm, and now we can move on. So Thursday, Sherry, the planets that are in Aries now, Neptune's going to be there for about 12 years, and Saturn will be there for 3 years. So those two are very long term. The other planets are obviously going to, merge into, other signs. They're moving much faster. But for Neptune and Saturn, those are going to be there a really long time, and that is why we have this energy of complete and total change and mastery. Saturn is the discipline, self-mastery, and Neptune is the connection to source. So we're really being propelled into a whole new way of being humans, of a perception. So Thursday, we finally have the moon fully into Leo, and we get this burst of confidence. It's great self-expression. That's a great time to, take a step forward, because prior to that, the few days before, we were in that ambivalent gas break. I'm watery, I'm emotional, but I want movement here. I'm frustrated. I want to lash out, but I really don't want to do that. I want to stay in my integrity. This is this exhausting energy. And then by Thursday, the moon goes into Leo, and now our desires are kind of ground because Venus is in Taurus, which is the earth sign. The sun's in Taurus, grounding us. Taurus is earth, that bull, the stability I talked about in the beginning of the show. And with the Leo moon there, we have planets in Aries giving us the energy. Leo's giving us the confidence, that lion heart. And we've got the grounding with those planets in Aries. So this now is a time that is very meaningful for us. What is meaningful to us and what we desire is grounded in passion of Taurus. And, as Venus goes into Taurus, which is that planet of that meaningfulness, it's going to meet up with Uranus. And I talk about Uranus on the show a lot. Uranus is going into Gemini and on Saturday, and Venus is right there. Now, what are the odds of Uranus after 7 years in Taurus, the day it goes into Gemini, 0 degrees, it's going to be right on top of Venus at 0 degrees, 1 degree, Gemini. This is tremendous awakening to what's truly meaningful to us. You can't make this stuff up, guys. I mean, I'm in an astrology class with astrologers from all over the world, and we're just we can't even believe the energy that we're experiencing in 2026. It is amazing. So now with Uranus, which is going to be in Gemini for 7 years, we had Uranus, the planet of awakening, the planet of sudden shocking change, grounded in an earth sign, testing us and changing our world around personally and globally to test our own stability. What is safety to us? How do we apply personal safety and our own inner worth, self-worth? That's all was tested the last 7 years. And now we learned those lessons. And once that beautiful Uranus, the great awakener planet, goes into Gemini, which happens Saturday, 25th, it's a whole new energy in the same kind of archetype. In Gemini, we have air. It's refreshing. It's new. The sudden shocking things are going to be about technology and flight and our communications. So now that self-worth, those lessons in self-worth and self-stability and our own inner resources and how we can use them for the last 7 years in Taurus with Uranus. Now those lessons come into, how do I need to communicate to feel safe? How do I need to communicate to shore up my stability? What way do I communicate in the world? And how is that going to form something new? It's also, and this is the most important part, it asks us what is true. Now, I'm going to do a separate video about a yogic philosophy about truth, because I was trying to think about on the show tonight how I would explain to you all about what Gemini energy really is. And, it gets a bad rap. The twins is the symbol, and it's like, oh, Geminis are two-faced. Oh, Geminis can't be faithful. Oh, no, the real energy of Gemini is duality. That is true. But it's also what is true to you, your own personal truth, and the idea that two things can be true at the same time. That's Gemini energy. Gemini energy isn't ADHD. It isn't flitting around like, oh, look, there's a shooting star. That can be the way that it embodies someone. But Gemini energy is curiosity. And nothing that we've ever done in our life ever started out without curiosity. Curiosity feeds our imagination. We've got Neptune and Aries feeding that. And it feeds every great idea we ever had. So think about the next 7 years and how curious you are about a lot of things in your life. And that curiosity is going to lead you to a different way to communicate, to a different idea of what the truth is, to different perceptions. It's going to open you up as a great awakener, and myself included, everybody. When I say you, I mean all of us. Is going to open us all up to, I did always think that way, but that was my truth in the backdrop of my conditioning. Maybe that's not really the truth, right? Two things can be true. It can be true that I was brought up in an Italian household, very devout Catholic mother, and yet I don't believe in Catholicism that way any longer. I do believe in Jesus Christ, but I talk to him in a different way than I would have when I was 7. But both beliefs are true. I was Catholic and now I am spiritual. I grew up in an Italian household, but now I just love everybody, don't even think about my nationality. So two things can be true. There is a truth that is framed in what you were brought up to believe, and then there is a universal truth of what you believe now. Two things can be true. So that's the only way I have to explain Gemini energy. We had a belief system for most of us until we get to a certain age that is very colored and conditioned by our experiences. And then as we have more experiences, our arc of development in life brings us to different perceptions and we open. That's Gemini energy because we were curious enough to explore. And Aries energy, where all these planets are staying for the next few years, are also about exploration, but as the adventurer. So we have this beautiful airy curiosity that's all about our minds. And then in Aries, we have these beautiful adventure energy that gives us the bravery to do it. You can't make this up. It's such a beautifully perfect, potent soup that we're going to be living in. So Thursday, the moon goes into Leo, gives us a bunch of fire to feed the Aries fire. The Taurus sun is grounding our passion, so we can really start to see and have clarity about what we want to do. The Gemini energy feeds the flames, air feeds fire, right? So we're just going to want to take off. This energy is like a rocket ship. It's just, if you can lean back, like I remember seeing the astronauts interviewed just recently, and one of them said, we were really like prepared. We thought like we weren't even going to be able to put our hands on the controls because it was going to be such a rough, takeoff and getting into that other, I don't even know what they call it. I guess the next like phase of when they're in the Earth energy and they're going into space. And she said, but the ride was so smooth. She said, boy, you really got an idea of what man can do and what we've created. And I thought to myself, wow, her conditioning, because of all of the things they put the astronauts through, are for the worst case scenario, right? Like you're going to get shook up and rattled and rolled and probably puke in your helmet and all these things. And they just had a beautiful, smooth ride. And so that's the example of conditioning, right? She was totally prepared, which was a good thing, for the rough ride, but the rough ride really never came. I grew up with a mom who was like, you can't go out, it's raining outside. Well, we're supposed to dance in the rain if it's not freezing out. Not going out if it's freezing. So that's the idea of conditioning. And, two things can be true. We have to plan for those things. And yes, maybe some people shouldn't go out in the rain. But what's your real truth? Gemini is going to show you. Uranus and Gemini is going to show you. What is your truth? What is your personal truth that is truly your authentic essence of life and your truth? And it's just a really beautiful, beautiful energy. Venus and Uranus are going to meet up at the final degree of Taurus, and then Saturday go into Gemini. When they're at that final degree of Taurus, it will shake up all that 7 years of Uranus and Taurus energy and what your lesson was. So think about it. What happened in 2017, 18, whatever it was. And then Friday, the planets are pushing into all new territory because Mercury gains power and speed. And this is a day where we can say stupid things again. So be careful if you're saying too much. But by Saturday, Venus is now in Gemini. She can give our desires a push forward, right? Because Venus is that planet of desires. And what we might want might express a little forcefully because, Uranus is going in there too. And we've got all this fire and the rocket ship's taking off. So just make sure you're grounded, do your rituals, do your spiritual stuff, do your yoga, do your meditation, because Mercury is also in a very tense conversation with Uranus. So Mercury, our minds and our communication, is in a tense conversation with the planet of shock and awe and awakening. And that can make us a little cranky. It's a day to keep our thoughts to ourselves. I would say this Saturday should be a very introspective day. I would try to just kind of, maybe be home, journal, meditate, maybe clean out a closet if that feels right to you. But this is a day when you really want to keep your thoughts to yourself. It's not the day where you're going to go out and tell somebody about your big dream. We may feel like we're running out of time. This is an energy also. Uranus is a very fast moving planet. The planets are moving very fast through Aries. We have Saturn in Aries, which is the father of time. And so we can feel like time is speeded up here. It is actually. It's only a construct, but it is. And what will happen is we might want to be impulsive because we feel like we're running out of time for something, but we're not. This is, the story of the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady really wins this race, guys, between now and the end of the year. And like I said, with Uranus in Gemini now, it's going to be a 7-year cycle, closing the Uranus and Taurus years. So you've got 7 years to really, of Uranus poking you and prodding you and giving you awakening. So you're not going to run out of time, I promise. Our soul is going to do what we want it to do and what it's here to do. So as long as we are living authentically and honestly. So to recap, this is an energy that will accelerate our timelines. And a lot of you I know are feeling that now. It's like everything's speeded up. The energy is really accelerating our timelines. But what you want to do is ground yourself, like I said, lay on the ground, lay on the grass, because that's going to make things seem like you're in that kind of suspended, grounded animation where you can think and see clarity. Expect breakthroughs, especially in technology. I'm learning a lot of technology now. I'm in classes with my producer, Bobby, because I'm trying to bring the podcast to my home studio. And I'm also learning a lot of technology in my real estate life right now. I'm learning AI and I'm learning all kinds of really great things. So, this is about the truth of what resonates with you in a way where you can communicate that authenticity eventually to the world or to you or to the people that are important in your life. It's a refreshing energy also that we're going to feel towards the end of the week. So, Michelle says she'll be packing. Um, I can't wait. Oh, she'll be packing to move. Oh, okay. This is a good time to move, actually, Michelle. So that's kind of nice, really, because you got a lot of fresh, new emerging energy for that. Um, so when we talk about truth in this energy, I really want to convey, because this is something I'm really working on in my personal being, um, that we're going to be challenged to be very discerning of what is our personal truth from what is, a universal truth. And when I say universal, I don't mean like the universal laws of life and the yogi principles or religious principles. I mean, like, I guess I should say global truth, maybe. We're going to be asked to discern what is our personal truth and what is right with us and what feels right with us against the backdrop of what we're being fed and in media and music and video and in influencers in government and structures and education. I think this is an energy where we really have to step out of the influencing, the suggestion. Um, it's magic. What we don't realize is that, when we look at a Nike ad and that Nike symbol, that swoosh, right? It's just like any other kind of symbol. It's an incantation. It is magic that someone in a marketing department created in order to put you in a spell so that every time you see that Nike swoosh, you have a sensation, right? Every time we see a Hershey chocolate bar, although the wrapping, a brown wrapping around the chocolate, we have a sensation. That is using incantation and magic. It's a science. And we can do that in our own lives, right? How many times we have a mantra or we have a symbol or we have something that creates joy in us. But this is a time we're coming on for the next several years where we're really going to be pushed and prodded and asked to discern our personal truth and separate it from maybe what a global truth is. Our truths are not going to be in alignment with a lot of what we're being fed and suggested to and influenced for. So the only truth in the world, that in the universe, the only thing that is true, really true, is what is eternal. Anything else is changing and impermanence. It's not a permanent thing. So remember that when you really think about then the discernment of what is truth to me. What is true to you, a lot of times the deeply resonating, truth of connection, of that oneness of the soul, is a truth that is eternal, right? Like love. Only love is real. We've all heard that, right? So Neptune in Pisces is done. And that was the fog. That was the, well, what really, I don't know, like, just make it make sense. And nothing did. Now clarity truly begins once Uranus, the Great Awakener, goes into Gemini in 25th. And it'll come slowly, even though Uranus is like a rocket ship. Our discernment will be slow because we're still being fed and conditioned by great, great resources that are man-made. And then Sunday on the 26th, we've got Venus in Gemini and Neptune in Aries, and they're talking to us. The planet of our loves and desires, Venus, against the Neptunian, that fogginess of I need to return to source and I want to float with the angels. And it's talking to us about our dreams and what our ideal is. And we can get caught up in the fantasy because Neptune is that fantasy. Neptune, the bubble, the Macy's Day Parade balloon that's flying out in the sky. But Mercury, our planet of communication, is being aspected by Saturn, that limitation, right? Which can make us feel limited or restricted, and we want to dream. We want to dream big. Something is holding us back. And so the thing that's holding us back is the universe reminding us, this is Sunday, to be strategic. Don't get caught up in the ether, the fantasy, or the fear. With all this fire and air in the sky, it's hard to stay grounded. But we got to realize slow and steady is the game here. And as we lay the foundation for a whole new life, a brilliant future, don't exaggerate things to the point of defeat. Don't allow the fear to be exaggerated. Don't overreach and then get frustrated and say, oh, I shouldn't have tried this. Don't misinterpret what others tell you. Don't take what others tell you as truth if it doesn't resonate with you. Keep your goals and your dreams within reach, not too far out. Slow your roll. Make a better plan. After you've done your work with the Cancer Moon Tuesday and Wednesday, that's going to make us go within, see the real pattern, scratch out what we don't need anymore, write a new story. And then I'll be back on Monday with more of the Soul Space podcast, and we'll talk a lot more about this energy. But for this week, the key concept is stay grounded. Don't overreach. Don't let the fear become over amplified. Stay in the plan, whatever it is, keep it simple. Like right now, I'm just keeping it simple every day. I put one foot forward towards my dream, my hope, my goals. And at least until next week, I would keep things to yourself. I wouldn't go off talking too much because we're going to say stupid shit. And you don't need to share your dreams right now. You've got plenty of time to put them in order, make them start happening, and make yourself the priority. So I am going to say my comments here, say hi to a few more people. I answered Sherry. That's great that you're moving. Trisha's packing 2 houses. A lot of people are moving now. Aries energy does make people move. I wish they'd call me to list their house, though. Cheryl says it's a good time for a new relationship. That depends on your chart, but I will say any relationships that start now are probably going to be a little passionate, because maybe even not a little, maybe a lot passionate, because Aries energy is fire. Fire. Anybody with like Venus and Aries is like, so you may meet somebody that you're very attracted to. So I would say yes. And that's the show for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also tell all your friends to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you need a personal reading, whether it's tarot or astrology or mediumship, you can find me on zenkuda.com, and you can book a reading there, and it actually will give you your appointment and everything. And then I zoom in on the readings and we give you the video. I do them one-on-one with you on Zoom. So take it easy a little bit this week. Be good to yourself. Let that Cancer moon do its beautiful magic. And remember, you are your priority. It's time for all of us to put ourselves first and then take care of others. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next week. I love you all. Bye-bye.